start with the auctions now. We have Susanna from Sinea who will talk about hydrogen or the heat auction. Then we're going to be joined by an officer from DigiClima, Javier, he's joining us online. He will be talking about the hydrogen auctions. Susanna, I give the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And in the interest of time, and also because I understand that perhaps there was more interest on the NZT call than on the auction calls, we're going to be very brief. But as I said at the beginning, you'll find plenty of information, in particular the recording of the info days. I really encourage you to follow the links that you'll find in this presentation and listen to those recordings for more information. But very short, the auction heat. Why this call? Well, mostly because we see that electrification is the main vector of industry decarbonization by 2030, and also because at the moment, industrial process heat is largely fossil fuel based, so there is really a need to promote heat for industry. The issue that industry faces is that there is a cost gaps compared to fossil fuel-based technologies that hinder the ramp-up of innovative technologies on electrification, but not only electrification, we'll see that later. Another reason for having this specific call is that this type of projects are underrepresented in the Innovation Fund portfolio at the moment. Which are the eligible technologies? Well, projects that electrify industrial heat production, but not only that, also the use of direct heat that comes from renewables, namely solar thermal and geothermal energy, and also hybrid projects that are a combination of the two above technologies. There are three different topics in the call and related eligible activities. That's to cover in the best possible way industrial activities across Europe, and also to provide a level playing field across projects of different sizes. You can see that the first two topics, small scale, large scale, have the same temperature bracket between 100 and 400 degrees Celsius, while the high temperature one topic is targeting high temperature projects, meaning above 400 degrees. The differentiation between the small scale and large scale is the capacity of the installation. For small scale is between 3 and 5 megawatt thermal, while for medium temperature larger scale is greater than 5 megawatt thermal. And when it comes to high temperature, we are seeking projects with capacity higher than 3 megawatt, again, thermal. For medium temperature, small scale, you see that there is an auction as a service from Spain that is related to Spanish projects, so not of interest for you, but important to know that there are member states that are putting their own money in that. There is a maximum grant amount for each of the three topics is different, and it has to be kept into consideration, because if you ask for more, you'll be excluded, in short. So, it's an auction, so we will rank the proposal and consider them until when we reach the capacity of the call, and at that moment in time we will fix the clearing value of the bid, and all proposals that are above this value will be excluded. So it is really up to you to decide how high or low you want to bid, depending on the need for subsidy that you can see in the other graph, and also the foreseen competition. You have to decide what's the trade-off. You notice here that the fixed premium is in euro per megawatt hour. That value will then be converted in euro per tons of CO2. We'll see how. So here it is how. So the input is in euro per megawatt hour, and then it is automatically translated. There are two different cases into euro per tons of CO2. The first case is for new heat production without decommissioning, and for that there is the use of default values. And then there is a second case, again, the use of default values, but different ones for the emission factor, when the fuel is replaced by the project, by the installation proposed, and the objective is to incentivize the commissioning of fossil fuel, of installations based on fossil fuel. There are flexibility requirements. I must say that the default option is that the maximum payment will be equal to 70% of the operating hours. I encourage you to look at the context for the other cases, because it's not so straightforward considering the little time that I have, but definitely a point of attention. Perhaps important points are the obligations that a project has. There is a maximum time to reach financial close, which is 2 years, and a maximum time to reach entry into operation. So if financial close is not reached within 2 years, the grant agreement is terminated, and the completion guarantee, which is a mandatory request for the heat auction projects, the value of which is 6% of the requested grant amount, might be called. The maximum time to reach entry into operation is 4 years, and similarly, differently, because in this case the completion guarantee will be called if the project doesn't enter into operation within that time limit. And then there are reporting obligations once the project has entered into operation every 6 months for direct or indirect measurement of the heat produced. The application is, in a way, as complex but a bit easier than for NZT proposals. There are a number of documents to be provided. One point of attention for this call and for any other call: if there are templates provided by us, do not tamper with them, use the templates. If there are not templates but indications in the annexes of the call text, again, for some of the documents to be provided, do follow those. This is the indicative timeline. So the call will close on the 19th of February. So if you intend to participate, there isn't that much time left. You need to progress fast. And we aim at informing applicants May, June this year, and sign the grant agreement with the successful projects in November 2026. Similarly to the NCT call, there is the application form Part A with the administrative aspects. The project itself is described in the application form Part B, and then there's Part C with the KPIs and the mandatory annexes and supporting documents. Once again, for the mandatory documents, follow the templates when they are available and the indications that are in the annex of the call text for those that are not mandatory but still described in the annexes. There are eligible and not eligible activities. You need to check whether your project indeed will lead to an eligible situation or not. I will not go through the list, but it's important for you to consider it. This is just a recap. Project location is, as usual, the EU or the EEA. The participants must be legal entities established anywhere in the world. there are some restrictive measures and conditionality measures, but they are in the call text, they are the usual ones. Once again, financial close has to be reached within 2 years after the signature of the grant agreement, entry into operation after 4 years, and operation of the project is normally for 5 years. And we said that the reporting after entry into operation will be after 6 months, meaning that you'll be paid after twice a year as soon as the project starts delivering heat. At the time of submission, for the completion guarantee, you'll have to submit a letter of intent. The completion guarantee must be submitted to SINEA before the grant agreement signature. If you don't submit it, the grant agreement preparation will be terminated. Here are a few details about the completion guarantee and what to do at the different stages at application and later on when invited to grant agreement preparation. How the call will be assessed, on the contrary to net zero technologies calls, the proposals will only either pass or fail one of the 2 award criteria plus, of course, the bidding price that will determine the ranking. And the 2 criteria are relevance and quality. For relevance is whether the proposal is relevant for the call, and the quality is divided into technical, financial, and operational quality. Once again, they are only pass or fail. There is no score. If a proposal passes both award criteria, then depending on the ranking, ranking comes first and then the award criteria, but in practice is all one evaluation. Because this is what I was trying to say. We will be applying a cascade approach. So first of all, there is a ranking according to the bidding price, from the lowest to the highest, and then we will assess the proposals against the 2 award criteria I've just mentioned, and then we will invite to grant agreement preparation proposals that are passing both award criteria. One award criteria as mentioned is relevance, production of electrified or direct renewable industrial process heat, and the temperature ranges. So the proposal must be in the ranges identified in the topic. The other award criteria is quality, and that is about technical, financial, and operational maturity, and they are then subdivided in let's say, sections or areas of evaluation. And once again, both relevance and quality are only pass and fail. And apologies, I've been super fast in the interest of time, but available for questions afterwards. And then, Javier, I hope you're connected. I would hand it over to you for the hydrogen auction. Hello, hi.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. So, Javier Garcia, Policy Officer working in DG Clima. Sorry not to be today with you in Malta. So today, I will be presenting the hydrogen auction, which is the second auction that we have in place. I don't know if you can project the slides, and I will start. Thank you. Thank you very much. So first slide. For next, please. So just for those that are not familiarized with the hydrogen auctions, we've been organizing them since 2023. It was the first auction that we were organizing, and these are part of the European Hydrogen Bank initiative. Within this initiative, from the Innovation Fund, we are only speaking of domestic hydrogen production, right? So we are in charge of developing auctions for the development of a domestic European market. The rest of the European Hydrogen Bank, that some of you may know, falls within other lines of activity and mostly being managed by DG Ener. Next slide, please. So by organizing auctions within the Innovation Fund, like the heat auction that Susanna just presented, we were thinking to provide a different instrument into the market, right? So first, this is totally different from the net zero technology call. In this case, we're thinking of projects that are mainly competing based on price. And we are thinking of an instrument that is providing a simplified and a reduced administrative burden for the applicants, but also for us. So we can speed up and respond to the market faster. And at the same time, by having an auction, we also provide key information to the market about pricing, in this case, about hydrogen. So starting in 2023, we launched the first pilot auction with 800 million. Then last year, we launched the second auction with 1.2 billion, for which we just announced, by the way, today, the results. We have awarded 6 projects under this second auction. And then the auction that I will be speaking very quickly today, which is the one that we opened now in 2025. In this case, we have a budget of 1.3 billion. The scope of the auction is covering not only renewable hydrogen, like in previous occasions, that RFNBO hydrogen, but we have expanded the scope to cover electrolytic low carbon hydrogen. And in this case, we have 3 topics. We have a first topic in which we have a budget of 600 million, in which the only product that is supported is renewable hydrogen. We have a second topic with a budget of 400 million, in which both renewable and electrolytic low carbon hydrogen are covered. And a third topic in which both types of hydrogen are supported, but where the off-takers must belong either to the aviation or to the maritime sector. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give you an overview of what type of projects can apply into this auction. Well, first of all, they have to be located within the EU, EEA. That includes also Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland. The installed capacity has to be a minimum 5 megawatts electric on the electrolyzer. It has to be new, of course, and it has to be located in a single place. There are certain limits to the origin of the electrolyzers that I will detail afterwards. Also limits on the off-takers. In the case of the topic number 3, for the rest of the topics, the off-taker can be any type, any sector, and located anywhere. There's a bid ceiling price, a maximum bidding price of €4 per kilogram, and a maximum size that the project can bid with, which is basically the size of the topic in this case. Next slide, please. Some of the key aspects of our hydrogen auction, and similarly to the heat auction, is that even if we provide a simplified way of application, we also want some commitment from the projects, and that commitment is established through the request of having a completion guarantee. In the case of the hydrogen auction, we are having a completion guarantee of 8% of the total grant that is requested, and this completion guarantee will be triggered if the project does not reach financial close in at least within 2.5 years, and they have to enter into operation within 5 years. Then once it starts operations, the payments happen twice a year, and for a maximum period of 10 years. Next slide, please. Also, here are some conditions that projects have to comply with. In summary, we are asking projects to commit to the proposal and not to go below 30% of the amount of hydrogen that they committed to produce for more than 3 years in a row. I will not stop here. Next slide, please. And then I jump into what's new. I don't know how many of you are familiarized with our previous auction, but I will give you an overview of the key elements or the new elements that we have in here. The first key element that I already presented is that we are covering electrolytic low carbon hydrogen. And the main reason behind this is that finally, since December last year, we have a delegated act establishing how electrolytic low carbon hydrogen and other fuels, low carbon fuels, can be certified and verified. So voluntary schemes will be created, and therefore we can support production of electrolytic low carbon hydrogen within an auction. I will not go into the details, but here in the slide you have what are the definitions and where to refer to understand what electrolytic low carbon hydrogen is. Next slide, please. In terms of how this will operate within the auction, for topic 2 and topic 3, for those that can support both renewable and electrolytic low carbon hydrogen, please remember there will be a single bidding price. The project will need to define how much of the volumes of each type of hydrogen will be producing. And as I said, we will only pay upon production. So there's only once the project starts producing upon certified and verified volumes of production. Next slide, please. Another element that is relatively new are the resilience criteria. Since the hydrogen auctions are targeted to a very specific technology, which is electrolyzer producing hydrogen, we have established resilience criteria to limit the sourcing of where those electrolyzers can come from. In particular, we're limiting the sourcing of electrolyzers from China because we are assessing from the European Commission, we have a potential dependence of electrolyzer supply from China. That's why, as you can see on screen, we have a limitation that at least 75% of the electrolyzers must be sourced from a country different from China. And within that 75%, the stacks can never originate in China, and no more than 2 specific components can be sourced from China. So this is for your consideration in case that you are deciding to apply with the projects into the hydrogen auction. There are certain limitations on where the equipment can come from. Next slide, please. We have other areas of resilience, of what we call resilience criteria, and one is cybersecurity requirements. In summary, what we are requesting is that the operation of the plant and the information resulting from the operation of the plant stays within the European Union or the EEA, and with an entity that is also based in the European Union or the EEA. And I think I don't need to explain the reasons behind it and the geopolitical situation in the world today, but this is a requirement not only for the projects in the Innovation Fund, but for wider projects supported by EU funds. Next slide, please. Another element that is new is that we are this year having this topic that I was explaining before, in this case with the 300 million euro, that is not only supporting the maritime sector like we did last year, but we have expanded also to the aviation sector. This translates in projects that still we're supporting producers of hydrogen, so it's the main target of the auction, but they will have to prove, if they want to be awarded under this topic, that at least 60% of their production is supplied to entities that are in this sector. For more details of what this implies and how this aviation and maritime sector is defined, you can always refer to the context. Next slide, please. Another aspect that we have revised is on financial materiality requirements. Even if we are still trying to have a very reduced administrative burden to applicants, still we need to check certain things. And after the results of the second auction, in which many projects, even if they were invited to sign a grant agreement with us, decided not to do so, we have increased a bit of the financial assessment that we do in-house when we receive the proposals. This has translated in more detailed information under the financing and business plan. We have also asked the projects to expand a bit on the risk and the mitigation measures associated to that. And now we are also asking for some letter of commitment or letter of intent from equity providers covering at least 60% of the equity within the project. Next slide, please. And as my colleagues Alban and Susanna were also explaining, within the auction, the hydrogen auction, we also have some rules on the limitation on combining with other sources of public support. These are a bit different to the one from the one of the NCT. In the NCT, since in City Call, as Alban was explaining, we are supporting 60% of the relevant cost. That opens the possibility of projects being able to source others, or to have other sources of public funding to top up that support, and there are other rules of combination. In the auction, we are more strict, and we are more strict because due to the nature of the auction, what we are understanding is that 100% of the relevant costs are covered because it's the project establishing the price that they want to be supported with. For that reason, the developer of the hydrogen electrolyzer, of the project producing hydrogen, cannot receive any other source of public support or EU fund for the development of the project itself, neither in CapEx or in OpEx. And certain limitations extend beyond the project itself. On the upstream side, the electricity provider, particularly the renewable electricity provider, will be bounded by the RFNBO Delegated Act. That means that after 2028, additionality conditions will apply. On the supply of the electrolyzer, we have no limits. The electrolyzer manufacturer can receive any type of other public support, and we will not check on that. And then on the direct consumer, on the off-taker downstream, even if last year's we had some limitations, this year we have relaxed the rules. So a project that is producing its hydrogen can supply it to off-takers that are receiving other sources of public fund, as long as the direct consumer confirms that they have informed the state aid entity and that the state aid entity responsible is okay with with the direct consumer receiving a hydrogen that is supported by the Innovation Fund. All the details also within the context. Next slide, please. On the application process, I will not stop here. The key date here is that the auction is closing on the 19th of February. That results will be expected by May, and the final results and award the signature of the grant agreements by the end of the year. So a very similar timeline to the heat auction that Susanna presented before. Next slide, please. And on the documentation, again, I will not stop here because it follows a very similar structure to the heat auction. Still, there is application form A, application form B, application form C, so similar structure to the NCT call. And then there is a list of documentation that will allow the evaluators to evaluate on that pass-fail basis on elements of relevance and quality. Next slide, please. So what are these elements that I evaluated? On relevance, basically the evaluators will be checking if the project is actually producing RFNBO, electrolytic low carbon hydrogen, and checking that those resilience criteria, the limitations on the sourcing of the electrolyzer, are complied with. And then the evaluators will fall into the quality. And that means they will be evaluating the technical maturity, the financial maturity, and the operational maturity, which basically translates in the ability of the project to comply with the deadlines of 2.5 years for financial close and 5 years to enter into operation. And to be able to do that evaluation, we have all that list of 12 points that you can see on the right. So the project provides information that will be evaluated. In summary, it is information about the sourcing of the electricity, how they intend to have a renewable electricity or low carbon electricity sourced, the sourcing of the electrolyzer, the status on all pre-contractual agreements with the off-taker, the status of the environmental permits, of the grid permits, and so on. And also, most importantly, as you can see in point 11, we are also requesting a letter of intent from a financial institution confirming that they are willing to provide the required completion guarantee to the project. All this is detailed in Annex 2, exactly all the information that we are requiring within Annex 2 of the call text in case you have more or you want more details. Next slide, please. I will not stop here. So this is just which elements are evaluated under each of the award criteria. So next slide, please. The same here, but for the quality aspect. Next slide, please. This is how the operational maturity is evaluated. In summary, what is the team that you're proposing? What are the implementation plan that you're having? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is more about operational maturity. And well, and with that, I end with the hydrogen auction. But to end our presentation today, I also want to speak of something that is new, and that is new for the 3 calls that we're doing. This applies both for the NCT call and for the 2 auctions. And this is the do not significant harm. So do not, next slide, please. On the do not significant harm, this is a new award criteria that is embedded in the award criteria of the Innovation Fund. In the NCT call is embedded mostly, the bulk of it, under replicability, and the auctions is mostly included as part of the technical maturity assessment. It translates into the assessment of how the project will comply with this DNSH criteria that you can see on the 6 squares on the right of the slide. And next slide, please. This translates into actions from the projects that apply into the Innovation Fund. First, in the application form B, during the application, you will have to explain how do you expect to comply with the DNSH criteria. It's just an explanation. You will see a section within the application form, and you will have to convince the evaluators. But it is only if your project is selected and awarded, and only at the end of the implementation period, that you will be requested a full DNSH compliance report, proving that indeed you complied with these DNSH criteria. Next slide, please. And what do you need to do? How do you know what the DNSH criteria are? Well, the first thing that you need to identify is what economic activities your project is directed to. You may have one economic activity, several economic activities. For example, production of hydrogen. On step 2, you need to go to technical screening criteria in the regulation. And for that, we have Annex 4 in the call text that guides you to find the technical screening criteria that you will need to explain in your application how you intend to comply with. Some activities, like for example, production of pulp and paper, do not have technical screening criteria defined. And therefore, you will not need to explain anything. Just say, I don't have to comply with it. Others, like for example, production of renewable hydrogen, are automatically considered to comply to the climate mitigation technical screening criteria, for example, and you will not need to explain anything. But you need to identify what you need to justify. And step 3, as I said, just prepare your explanation for the application, and if your project is selected, be ready to prepare that DNSH report at the end of the implementation. Next slide, please. And with that, we finish this presentation. I hope that you like it. I just have final slides with general information that may be of your interest. On the 19th of May, from the Innovation Fund, we have the flagship event on the Cleantech Conference. Please stay tuned if in case that you're interested. It will be celebrated in Brussels. Next slide, please. We always take this chance to say that if you're expert in a specific field, you can be an expert and be part of the evaluation process of the Innovation Fund, participate in those panels that CINEA organizes. So in case that you're interested, please remember that you can always sign up. And here you have the link in case of being interested. Next slide, please. And that also a reminder of all the links that you can have in order to follow all the information and to be fully up to date on our calls. Here you have all the list of them. And with that, next slide, I finish. And just a big thank you for being today with us.
Thank you, Javier. Do we have any questions from the audience regards the auctions?
Actually, not just the auctions, this general call, which I believe comes up every year. Now, I think there's a lot of material to actually read every year. But there will also be a few or extensive changes. Is it possible to sort of highlight the changes from year to year? Because we come here today, and if we have a project, we have barely 4 weeks to adjust anything that we have planned to cater for whatever new regulations or alterations are put up, at least for next year. Is it possible, or at least please take this suggestion, to highlight the changes or any changes that there are, so that whoever is responsible for, reading all through, I don't know how many pages there are, but I think it's over 100. You won't read everything, but okay, let me see the changes from last year. Because I'm very disappointed that no project from Malta has ever qualified. And that could be a reason. Thank you.
Yeah. No, we understand it's complex, and we try to, during the info days and every time we present the course, to point out to the aspects that have changed. However, the call text and all the documents have a legal basis, so they have to be, by definition, self-standing in a way. But every time that we present, we try to highlight what has changed. However, I think I understand there's a lot of work preparing an application, but it's also worth reading everything again every time. Is a way to double-check indeed that everything, what has changed, and also check the quality of what has already been submitted. But we do try to highlight what has changed in the presentations. We can't in the call text or in the documents, because they are legal documents. They must be self-standing. But I appreciate your point. I sympathize with the challenge. But the info days were immediately after code publication.
So also it's worth pointing out that I believe there was a general info day by DigiClima and Cinea that was organized earlier. The recordings can be found on their website. It's a lengthier presentation, but it specifically pinpoints what's new to the call as well. So I encourage everyone to see these recordings. I encourage everyone to also look at examples of projects that have already been funded. These can be found in the Cinea website. There is a dashboard, a project dashboard. And there is a lot of material that you can refer to. There are frequently asked questions, which are a great reference. Aside from that, please do not hesitate to come to us, the Funds and Programs Division, where we can even provide you with guidance. I think, do we have any more questions before we move on to the next presentation? No, okay. So now I invite Mr. Katalin Kustin, am I saying? Konstantin Kulik, yes. Who will be providing us with a brief summary of the project development assistance as a part of the Innovation Fund or even outside the Innovation Fund. Perfect, thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It's a big honor to be here in Malta and present EIB and EIB's innovation and an Innovation Fund unit in front of such a broad and active audience. So I represent European Investment Bank and specifically Innovation Fund unit within the European Investment Bank, and Innovation Fund unit is split into two parts, into technical part and financial part, and financial part is presented by my colleague Tassos Katsikas, who is also here. We have more or less 20 minutes, 30 minutes presentation today, and our goal is to explain what is project development assistance and how promoters of projects that apply for Innovation Fund can benefit from project development assistance. We love to use abbreviations in the EIB, so I will be sometimes referring to project development assistance as PDA, so please be tolerant to this use of abbreviations. And the outline for the presentation is following. I would like to first describe EIB in general and how it complements the Innovation Fund. Then I will describe project development assistance in general terms, explain two pathways to receive PDA, then execution steps and timelines for project development assistance, and then project selection criteria, and I will share also some success stories about it. So the EIB is a EU public bank. It is owned by member states. It is operationally independent, and it raises funds on international capital markets and then provides favorable borrowing conditions to project promoters to implement and support EU investment policy. It has declared ambition to become a EU climate bank in 2019, and since then it has been increasing its lending into climate action initiatives, an increasing percentage of loans related to climate action. Last year, EIB loaned lending volume reached around 100 billion euros, and over half of that was into climate action related activities. Over the year, EIB, since the time of foundation, lended over 1.5 trillion euros and supported thousands of projects in 160 countries. So we active not only in EU but also in other countries. So EIB provides a broad range of products and services like ordinary loans and equity investments, and it is also providing blended finance, meaning that EIB can support projects that have received grant applications, including innovation funds. And there are examples of projects which have received project development assistance, then won innovation fund grants, and then also additionally received the ordinary loans from the EIB. EIB has also advisory services, which is experienced in all stages of project cycle, and it can make investment happen and help with advisory. So the beneficiaries of project development assistance can also benefit from this expertise that is existing in EIB. And now we come to the main point of this presentation, the project development assistance and the role of EIB in the Innovation Fund. So Innovation Fund as an activity is managed generally by European Commission. It is executed by executive agency SINEA, well represented today, and EIB has a supporting and implementing role. Specifically, EIB is responsible for project development assistance program, which is included into Innovation Fund activity. And project development assistance is aimed to improve maturity, both technical and financial, for high quality projects. These activities can usually come in the form of feasibility studies, because we have limited resources for implementing them, so we cannot really hire engineering companies who help to design pilot plans or do things like that, but we can help to improve maturity in the forms of feasibility studies and in the forms of financial advisory for the promoters. It is also worth mentioning that this activity does not bear any direct costs to the promoter. It is fully funded by European Commission through the EIB, and the high quality projects that meet Innovation Fund requirements can benefit from it. Typical activities very much coincide with the common shortcomings that were explained earlier today by Alban from SINEA. For example, one of the typical activity which is useful for promoter within PDA can be like a third-party technical due diligence or technical feasibility study. For example, the company may be operating pilot plant and it doesn't have sufficient evidence of performance improvement beyond the state of the art. So our consultants can help to verify this performance improvement and hence improve technical maturity of project and also positively affect degree of innovation criteria perception. Also, some projects have scale-up risks if it is scale-up from pilot to demo level or from demo to industrial scale, and the risks related to scale-up may not be sufficiently identified and mitigated. This is also where we can help. Another common issue that we see in applications is that, for example, CapEx items and project costs have a very high degree of uncertainty, and it prevents accurate estimation of the loan amount and financing for the project. Here we can also help with CapEx reviews and improving estimation of projects. Market study is also a typical activity which helps to decrease uncertainty in projected revenues and cash flows for the project. And another activity that we can do is, for example, life cycle assessment of if new product is introduced into market, some bio-based chemical or feedstock for plastic. We can help with life cycle studies and improving assumptions that feed into greenhouse gas emission calculations for these projects. So these are typical examples of PDA advisory. And there are two ways to get the PDA and become a beneficiary. So traditionally, EIB was receiving documentation package from the applicants who have applied for innovation fund, who were unsuccessful and who ticked the boxes and consented to be regarded for PDA as a beneficiary. So this type of PDAs we call workstream 2 structured PDAs. So we have the whole package from previous application. We have SINEA evaluation summary reports with shortcomings identified in the projects which disqualified it from being a grant awardee. And then we work on that package. We identify maturity gaps, and we work together with promoter to understand and decide what will be the most beneficial project development assistance activity in that case. Starting from last year, we have also open PDA. It means that promoters that haven't applied for the project for the innovation fund, but they have project or project concept in mind, and they meet eligibility criteria for innovation fund, they can directly come to us. They are served on first come, first served basis. The project must be eligible for innovation fund application, and they have to have intention to apply for the following call. They will be subject to EIB evaluation and project development assistance constraints. And then some of them will be granted project development assistance. So we have open door for anyone who has an innovation fund project in mind and foresees some maturity gaps, can contact directly EIB and request project development assistance. This is how it works in practice. So as I already explained, after submitting innovation fund application, and if your application is unsuccessful, project may be eligible for PDA. We receive, in this case, the long list of projects from the SINEA. We evaluate them, we identify maturity gaps, and then we select the best projects that must be eligible, but they also must meet some selection criteria such as geography, sector, and some others. I will explain it later. Then we do our own assessment of the project. We identify maturity gaps. We decide if this project is eligible for the project development assistance. We send back the project development assistance request form to the European Commission. If it is confirmed, we contact promoter, and then together with promoter we fine-tune the activities within project development assistance, and we sign project development assistance agreement and start execution, which usually takes 3 to 6 months. So if you intend to apply for the call, which usually have a deadline sometime in April, you have to keep in mind that there is a long procedure in place, and you have to be ahead of time to be a beneficiary. And second pathway, open PDA, it means that you have a project concept. You know that you are preliminary eligible for innovation fund. You can apply directly to us. We have a questionnaire on EIB website which you can use, and you can fill out the simple form which will tell you that you are tentatively eligible for the application. If you see that you are eligible, you can then fill out the PDA request form, which is a simple form, 4 or 5 pages, which you send directly to the EIB, and then we will evaluate it and request approval from European Commission. If everything is in order, then we will contact you, and then we will have a meeting. We will discuss strengths and weaknesses of your project. We will discuss where you see the biggest benefit for you, and then we fine-tune the project development assistance according to your needs. And then, yeah, we sign the agreement, and again, it takes 6 months for to implement the project development assistance. And we have, apart from eligibility criteria, general eligibility for Innovation Fund, we have project assessment and selection criteria. So we want to improve geographical balance of the successful projects. So priority will be given to projects which are implemented in countries with lower success rates. Priority countries are mostly located in Eastern Europe. Malta is also among the priority countries, so you will have higher chance to be selected for the project development assistance. We also have sectoral balance. We want to prioritize projects which are coming from sectors that have not received many Innovation Fund grants. And current sectors are energy-intensive industry, pulp and paper, glass, ceramics, energy storage, renewables, and aviation and maritime sectors, also direct air capture and carbon storage. Also, priority is given to projects with lower maturity. These are projects that have more than 4 maturity gaps identified, and priority is also given to smaller scale projects. And these are results from the first mandate that EIB had during first 5 years of Innovation Fund. And as you can see, the countries which benefited the most are Spain, France, and Italy. So that is the reason behind geographical prioritization of countries which have benefited less. These are some of the Innovation Fund success stories. So over first mandate, meaning 5 years of Innovation Fund, the PDA was delivered to 62 projects, and 17 projects that have benefited from PDA, and these were only structured PDA. These were projects that have been unsuccessful in their initial application. So out of these 62 projects, 17 projects received Innovation Fund awards after project development assistance. The number of projects that have reapplied is lower, so around 30% of projects is actually successful after reapplication and after PDA. Considering that not all reapplied, this percentage is even higher. And additional 7-8 projects have also received grant support from national or international grant funding organizations other than Innovation Fund. And 3 of the projects that have received PDA and then also Innovation Fund grant have also received ordinary loans from the EIB. So there is a coherence here. And key takeaways, I wanted to say that project development assistance can strengthen your project maturity and enhance your capacity and improve chances to succeed in the Innovation Fund applications. EIB can provide PDA based on your needs and tailored to specific project. And if you have not yet applied to Innovation Fund, but you have a project in mind, you can apply it for open PDA throughout the year. Links are provided in this presentation. And it's worth mentioning again that there is only one PDA per project, so you cannot apply for PDA for the same project twice. And I want to repeat again that there are no costs for promoter when he or she is benefiting from the PDA. So I highly encourage you to use this instrument that we have available. If you have any project in mind or questions, then please come and talk to us. We are here to discuss details of every specific project. And we are open for your proposal all year round. Thank you.
Floor to any questions regarding project development assistance. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Theodora. I do have a couple of questions. First one is, so let me see if I understood correctly, actually. So you can either apply directly through the EIB, yes, or else if you weren't awarded, or if you have applied through the Innovation Fund, it can be redirected through the EIB, yes?
Yes, when you apply, you have a box which you can click on that you consent your project to be considered for project development assistance. So then if you are unsuccessful, you will automatically be redirected to us after evaluation is done. But if you have a new project in mind and you still haven't applied, you can directly send the request to the EIB for project development assistance, if it's a new project.
Okay. I'm assuming it would be in a form of a loan, right? And not in a form of a grant, the PDA? Or
No, it's free of charge.
All right.
It's free of charge. It's just improving. It's the part of Innovation Fund that is free of charge, and that is aimed at improving financial and technical maturity of projects that meet requirements of Innovation Fund and have intention to apply.
All right, okay, thank you.
If I have an idea for a project, but I don't yet have a company, can I come to you for assistance?
Well, you can fill in questionnaires, of course, and you will see if this situation is enough.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, I have just one question. I believe MDB here in Malta works through you guys. Like, do you collaborate? And if that is so, which I believe it is that free of charge as well? Like, so if I go to MDB, Malta Development Bank, right? Mm-hmm. And they get the funds from you, I believe, or to go ahead. How does that work? Can you explain just slightly, maybe?
Oh, here I'm not familiar with local circuit.
Hello, my name is Lawrence Walsh. I'm the head of the EIB office in Malta. Sorry, Konstantin. Konstantin and Tassos are experts on the PDA, so they wouldn't be able to answer that question. In terms of the collaboration in Malta, with the Malta Development Bank, obviously Malta Development Bank is the national promotional bank in Malta. We have several collaborations as in loans, but nothing specific on the Innovation Fund. So they're entirely separate matters. There are operations in relation to climate action and so on, but then it's a separate discussion, and you're very welcome to contact me, and I will put you in contact with the relevant persons that liaise with Malta Development Bank on the operations. The idea also for my presence here is to be a first port of call for any of you who want to deal with the European Investment Bank group to navigate the various products and structures that are offered. Sorry.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, Konstantin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now the plan is that there are refreshments outside, and as soon as one eats a little lunch, we will start with the orientation dialogues. These are knowledgeable. The people have already informed us that they want to participate in this orientation dialogue. So, you know who you are. Approach us, please. This will be taking place in breakout room number 1. We will start in about 10-15 minutes, just to give you a short break. And in parallel, there will be colleague Lawrence You can explain a bit
Sorry,
further.
so to make this a little bit more efficient due to the time constraints and so on, you have seen the orientation dialogues with CINEA, which will occur meeting room 1, you said, right? Yes. In parallel, in meeting room 2, our colleagues from the Project Development Assistance team will be able to answer any questions you have in relation to EIB Project Development Assistance. So they're running in parallel. One is meeting room 1, CINEA, meeting room 2, EIB. And there you can ask perhaps questions that you wouldn't want to raise in a public forum.
So for meeting room 1, these have been pre-scheduled. For meeting room 2, these are on an ad hoc basis. So if you have any questions about PDA, now is your time to make them in a bilateral way. I think with that, I would like to thank everyone for attending. It's very encouraging to see that there is a lot of interest in this fund. We hope this keeps flourishing. Thank you to CINEA representatives. Thank you to EIB representatives. Thank you to DigiClima Online as well. And to the ministry and the hierarchy and the entire FPD team that put this together. Well, bon appétit. Have a nice day.
Nippreparaw kollox, għax jiena ħankellem il-Daniela, battilkom. Għalli ħankellmilkom jien qabel naraw. But we will still be here. If you need anything from us, please. Met the DA, okay? There's also the DA. Dik ma kellix id-dija ta' ħadid il-Valletta. Asli, knowledge bit l-attenzjoni.